Before we start, I would like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Celebs Talker. After the band Kiss rose to fame in the 70s, Gene Simmons and his bandmates enjoyed decades of success. In fact, the band has been so successful and impacted music history so much that they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. Given that Simmons has been a rock star for many decades of this writing, it certainly seems like he should mostly be known for his music career. After all, on top of selling millions of records, Kiss also is a fascinating band there are a lot of interesting facts about. Despite all that, over the last couple of decades, Simmons' image has changed a lot since he has become famous as a personality and reality star. The reason for that is simple. Simmons is willing to say the things that most people are too worried to say in public. A perfect example of that is the comment Simmons made once his daughter Sophie got engaged. On top of being outspoken while talking about his family, Simmons has a history of not holding back while addressing his peers. As a result of that personality trait, Simmons and Van Halen's former frontman David Lee Roth once had a public feud. How did Gene Simmons and David Lee Roth's feud start? Since Gene Simmons and his Kiss bandmates have been touring for decades as of this writing, it has long seemed like they've seen it all. However, even Simmons and the other members of Kiss found themselves on their back foot in 2020. When COVID-19 took over the world in 2020, loads of music tours had to be postponed. At the time, Simmons and the other members of Kiss were in the middle of their end of the Road World Tour. Given the name of that tour, observers may assume the tour was a response to the COVID-19 shutdown, but it actually started in January 2019. In August 2021, Rolling Stone interviewed Simmons because at the time, he and his Kiss bandmates were trying to figure out how to tour in a post-COVID world. Before the tour was postponed, David Lee Roth was Kiss's opening act. However, once the tour started up again, Roth was replaced by the performance painter David Garibaldi, considering that Roth is a rock legend too. It makes sense that the Rolling Stone interviewer asked Simmons to explain why he was replaced as the tour's opening act. That said, the reporter almost certainly had no idea that Simmons would respond to the question in a way that would insult Roth. It bears noting that during Dave's heyday, nobody did what he did. He was the ultimate frontman, not Plant, not Rod Stewart, nobody. He took being a frontman way beyond anything. And then I don't know what happened to him, something. And you get modern day Dave. I prefer to remember Elvis Presley in his prime, shearing lips back in Memphis, doing all that. I don't want to think of bloated naked Elvis on the bathroom floor. How did David Lee Roth call Gene Simmons out? After Van Halen first rose to fame, David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen quickly became a band's breakout stars. Unfortunately for anyone who loved Van Halen's original lineup, Roth simply couldn't get along with his bandmates and he eventually left the group and was replaced by Sammy Hagar. Throughout his years-long feud with the other members of Van Halen, Roth was never shy about calling his former bandmates out. In fact, it sometimes seemed like Roth took a lot of pleasure in taking shots at them. Given his behavior during the Van Halen feud, Gene Simmons should have known that Roth would have responded to his comments. Even still, the way that Roth got back at Simmons was pretty incredible. Opting to use Instagram to get back at Simmons, Roth posted a black and white photo of a child wearing sunglasses and directing a certain finger at the camera. Over the top of that image were the words, "Roth to Simmons." Of course, posting an image like that wouldn't have taken that much effort, so at first glance it may not have seemed like Roth was that mad at Simmons. However, Roth actually posted that image on Instagram 18 times in a row, which is a clear indication that Simmons' comments made the former Van Halen frontman furious. What did Gene Simmons apologize to David Lee Roth about? Back when Kiss first rose to prominence, there were a lot of parents that accused the band and its members of some really dark things. Even with over-the-top accusations flying around, Simmons and his bandmates never backed down. On the other end of the spectrum, when Simmons found out how David Lee Roth responded to his comments, the Kiss member almost instantly waved a white flag. Based on how Simmons responded to Roth's Instagram posts, it seems pretty clear that Gene sincerely felt bad about what he said about David. During an interview with Us Weekly, Simmons apologized for his comments about Roth and argued that what he meant was misunderstood. Simmons also recounted his history with Van Halen and took all the blame for his short-lived feud with Roth. "I'm so sorry and ashamed actually that I hurt David's feelings. I'm the guy actually that saw Van Halen at a club in the 1970s, signed them to my production company, flew them to New York, produced their first 24-track 15-song demo, and championed the band. And in the course of an interview, you hear me talking, I just sort of stream of consciousness. I don't mean to hurt people's feelings, and every once in a while, diarrhea of the mouth comes out." Simmons continued, "I read that quote, and somehow the way they put it together, I think I said something like nobody touched David in his prime. Not Robert Plant, not Jagger, not anybody. He was the king," Simmons went on to say. And then somehow there was a seg to Alice bloated on the ground and fat and naked, and I don't want to see that. "I wasn't talking about David, but that doesn't matter. What matters is I hurt David's feelings, and that's more important than the intent. So I sincerely apologize for that. I didn't mean to hurt his feelings." This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.